Welcome back. I've gotten tagged in a slasher questionnaire. T Money 86 and then Andrew Belina tagged me, so I'm gonna go ahead and give you my answers. Uh, I decided to keep my answers. There's outside the norm. I'm going to focus on proto slashers. I mean, most of the videos you're going to see are a lot of the same answers. In fact, if you want to talk about modern slashers or 80s slashers and my feelings on those, you might want to check out Andrew Belina's video because most of his answers are going to mimic mine. I decided to do something different, kind of consistent with the title of my YouTube page, and that is retro horror. So I'm going to do it proto slashers. There's no Halloween, no Friday the 13th, no burning. This is all pre-1978. So first up, my favorite standalone slasher is going to be, what else would there be? Black Christmas. Bob Clark's masterpiece. You could certainly make an argument that even if you didn't exclude the 80s, this is a top 5 slasher film in my opinion, no matter what decade or what film you put this up against. It is just a fantastic film, a work of art in a lot of respects. One of my favorites. Another film that I would highly recommend that you check out, proto slasher wise, and a very close runner-up is Peeping Tom. Carl Bohm. This is directed by Michael Powell, and if you look into this, Michael Powell put this film out, and it basically ruined his career. After this, he couldn't get a job, and it's a fantastic film. It was badly criticized by the British critics, and it really hurt his film career. And it's funny, if you watch this release, has all kinds of interviews and documentary discussion about this Michael Powell, and if it turns out that some of the critics many years later, after I guess it didn't really even matter at that point, came out and said they were probably unfair to this film, and I certainly believe they were unfair to it. Carl Bohm, who has this I don't know, this pleasant baby face character. He's a German actor. He was in a lot of Fassbinder films. Plays this photographer that's obsessed with filming people at the moment of death. He would attach a pole with a spear to his camera and then film them at the moment when he stabs them. Brutal stuff. Even just the concept alone it's a brutal concept, particularly for the 1960s. Love Peeping Tom. Highly recommend it. And that would be my a close runner-up to Black Christmas is my favorite standalone slasher. Favorite mask is up next. And that's going to go, I'm going to have two here. First is The Town That Dreaded Sundown. I love Baghead Jason. I think if you expanded this concept into the 80s, I would probably go with Baghead Jason, really even over the hockey mask. I just love the simplicity of this mask. I think it works great, and of course The Town That Dreaded Sundown started the whole Baghead killer. A close runner-up is going to be Blood and Black Lace, and the only and I'm kind of cheating here because the other thing that I decided not to do is include any kind of gialli in my. I mean, if I was going to include gialli, now you're going to get into some Argento discussion. So I decided to really limit my answers on these questions and even exclude gialli. However, I'm going to make an exception here, just because the faceless killer in Blood and Black Lace is so iconic, so cool. This Mario Bava film is just fantastic, and I just can't ignore the faceless killer in Blood and Black Lace. So that would be my runner-up to the favorite killer and his look. Next up is favorite scenes. What are my favorite scenes from slasher films? And certainly Psycho, the shower scene in Psycho. How can you beat that? Besides it being a work of art and a beautifully shot, beautifully scored scene. I think it stacks up. The shower scene in Psycho, maybe it's not cool and it's not panache to be named Psycho as one of your favorite slashers. But honestly, I mean, when you put that shower scene up against any other slasher scene, it's so effective. It's effective to me because it's what you don't see. The concept of implied, what you see is that it's implied, and it works beautifully. You think you see more than you really do, and that is the beauty of filmmaking. A masterpiece. Psycho is a masterpiece. And if I had to rate it, my top films, slasher films, it's maybe a half a point behind Black Christmas and Peeping Tom, but it's right up there. And the shower scene again is one of my favorites. An honorable mention as far as scenes would be Toolbox Murders and the nail gun kill and the Toolbox Murders. Cameron Mitchell shooting the girl that is such a disturbing scene. And I think the Toolbox Murders, when you think about all the prohibitions and things on slasher films and all the censorship and things like that have occurred. I think the Toolbox Murders, when I was growing up, even before, say, Silent Night, Deadly Night, I can remember the Toolbox Murders coming out and people just going hysterical over it. And, it's hard to pick one film that may have actually brought about all the censorship in the 80s. But I think the scene, that the Toolbox Murders and the scene with the nail gun is a genuinely disturbing scene. And that's where all the misogynist comments came into it. And I really feel like if you had to pinpoint to a film that may have started the video nasty craze and all that stuff, I would be hard pressed to find another film than the Toolbox Murders. But yeah, that scene is genuinely disturbing. Best Final Girl. I don't have it here, but the best final girl to me is Sally Field in Home for the Holidays. 1972's Home for the Holidays. This is a made-for-TV film by Aaron Spelling, and Sally Field, of all people, who went on to great things. She was in Smokey and the Bandit, and just a slew of kind of chick flicks and things like that. She's a fantastic actress. But Home for the Holidays, she was the final girl. And I think Home for the Holidays, if you haven't seen it, check it out, because it's an excellent, excellent, suspenseful slasher film. You got this girl in this, I guess I gave it away, but sorry about that. But it's the killer's in a raincoat, yellow raincoat. You don't see the face. It's a faceless kind of thing. And Sally Field battling this person at the end. It's excellent. Love Home for the Holidays. I hope someday somebody picks it up and gives it a Blu-ray treatment. What do we got next? Most overrated, I'm going to go with another film that I don't have a copy of, although it's had a Blu-ray release recently, and I will pick it up. And that would be Alice, Sweet Alice. Now, don't get me wrong, Alice, Sweet Alice is a really good proto-slasher. Brooke Shields is in it, we all know that, and it's got some good kill scenes. I just think that it's one of those films that are probably it's rated a little bit higher than it should be. I like it. It's good, not great slasher. a lot of people when they hear Alice Sweet Alice, they praise it without actually having seen it recently, and I think it's kind of a slow film. Some of the acting is a little spotty, and direction on it. It's not like it's a 3 out of 10. It's still like a 5, 6 out of 10. I just think it's an overrated film in general. Now, the most underrated film, in my opinion, is Hammer's The Hands of the Ripper. Hands of the Ripper, of course, I grew up with this one. This is a 1971 film that is genuinely gruesome. If you haven't seen Hands of the Ripper, do yourself a favor and check it out, because it's a great slasher film. It's about the daughter of Jack the Ripper, and her, as she grows up, basically she's nuts. You know, she's replicating the murders of her father. Peter Sadzey directed it. Peter Sadzey did some the Dracula films with Christopher Lee. Great film. Eric Porter stars as the psychiatrist in this. A lot of red herrings in this. A lot of gruesome, bloody scenes. Surprisingly gruesome. This is a great Synapse release, by the way. If you don't have it, I would highly recommend it. As far as locations, I'm going to go with Bay of Blood, Mario Bava. Bay of Blood, if you like Friday the 13th, particularly the original, then you're going to like Bay of Blood, because I really think that Bay of Blood was a direct inspiration in a lot of ways to the original Friday the 13th, and it plays almost script by script, blow by blow, scene by scene, like Friday the 13th. This is a bloody, gory, and at the same time beautifully shot film, as we expect from Mario Bava. I've got 2 copies here. I got a Kino Classics release with a commentary by Tim Lucas, and then I've got this Arrow release that has the commentary by Tim Lucas and quite a bit of other special features as well. I think both are worth having in your collection, but Bay of Blood is an excellent slasher film. People don't talk about it much, but I think that's a top 10 slasher, even if you expanded and included the 80s into your count. The most underrated slasher film, I think, is, well, I got that. That's Hands of the Ripper. What is my favorite gratuitous scene? This would be Jack the Ripper by Jess Franco. And the scene I'm talking about is when Klaus Kinski basically rapes Lena Remey up against a tree and slices and dices her up. It's a gratuitous scene, and you got 2 great actors. Klaus Kinski, Lena Remey, come on. And Klaus Kinski basically raping her up against a tree. You can't beat that. Come on. Directed by Jess Franco. Love this film. Highly recommend it, and that would be my pick for the most gratuitous scene that I really enjoyed. As far as modern days, I would say the Pieces shower scene is awesome. I like the waterbed scene in Pieces. Yeah, those are my picks for the slasher questions, and I hope you enjoyed it. I think I'm going to tag Retro Slasher. Haven't seen much out of him lately. And I'm going to tag Seth, Celluloid Terror. So I will leave them a message and a tag, and curious to see what their picks would be. Appreciate you watching. Feel free to leave any comments. Thanks.